Hello and welcome to the Gorilla Guide webinar to securing a remote workforce. And now I'm excited to introduce Mr. William Bell, Executive Vice President of Products at PhoenixNAP. William, take it away.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Gorilla Guide webisode on securing a remote workforce. My name is William Bell, Executive Vice President of Products at PhoenixNAP. And today, I'm going to share with you guys a few practical tips to make sure that your remote workforce stays secure in these changing business times and how people are working more from home. For those of you that are not familiar with PhoenixNAP, we are a global infrastructure as a service company delivering a slew of infrastructure products around the globe. We've been in business for about 10 years. We've got amazing partners and collaborators that we're working with to build intense, secure, compliant, and high performance critical applications in the cloud. I mentioned our global footprint. Today, we have services live in 16 data centers. 10 of those are mostly network POPs, but we're expanding service availability every single day. We're focused on delivering high performance and availability. We talk a lot about our 100% uptime guarantee. And today, our network exceeds over 2.35 terabits per second. So a lot of capacity in there for folks to do different business things and drive different types of outcomes for their company. So the focus of this presentation, we're going to talk about some of the challenges that exist with remote work. Some of you have been working on these for many, many years that have adopted primarily distributed workforce scenarios for their business. But a lot of you have been thrust into this due to COVID. And it's creating immense challenges for your company and for those of you in technology to deliver a consistent, secure, remote work environment for your employees. And so I wanted to walk through, some of the issues that exist, and it starts with the people. So ultimately, you have to drive security awareness into your organization. You have to make sure that they understand that security is everyone's problem and that everyone has to work together to make things better. As a technologist, you can implement a lot of policies and controls to ensure secure access for your organizations, but you don't have unlimited budgets. You have to sometimes do with what you got. And I know that's hard because you're also faced with staffing challenges that make your life even more difficult. So we've got a few lists here of common remote work cyber threats. And a lot of times they're similar to the threats that exist for any user from any device, whether it's on-prem, in an office, or from home. But what I can say is that a lot of these threats have intensified, specifically as a lot of organizations moved to adopting BYOD and multifunction, pieces of equipment for their users. Their customers, your end users and employees are leveraging personal devices a lot of times to access critical and secure information that needs to be protected and is simultaneously being exposed to things that a lot of times your desktops in the office weren't exposed to. So you're working hard to make sure that you've got all of these things under control. And I'm going to share a couple practical tips to make some of that better. So it starts with things like antivirus and anti-malware, making sure that it can exist on any type of device. right? Android phones, Mac computers, home laptops, whatever. In implementing multi-factor authentication authorization is a no-brainer. You have to implement these types of technologies to ensure that passwords are not what stands between an attacker and your critical data. Building a robust either remote desktop or secure VPN capability. A lot of people are looking at this, and the marketing term is kind of shifting towards secure access or SASE. You have to have some type of secure modality for people to connect to your organization. Getting tough on your network segmentation is an immense challenge, but it is necessary. You have to make sure that your network is your critical networks are highly segregated from the end users that are browsing, some shopping portal on their laptop when they're at home. And you've got to find ways to monitor all this. You have to be in a position to, even as you try to enable and empower, you have to monitor and detect and prevent. So there's a lot more things on this list. Give it a read, and hopefully some of this works for you. But if all that fails, and some of it will, sometimes something's going to happen, you have to make sure that your critical data is protected. You have to make sure that you have consistent, secure copies and backups of your critical data for compliance reasons, for business continuity reasons, and for data protection and anti-ransomware reasons. I think that's one of the biggest ones. Ransomware is eating people's lunch these days. So you have to have something in place. And PhoenixNAP and Veeam have partnered together to make these solutions real for organizations, to be able to protect your critical data anywhere it resides, in public cloud, hybrid cloud, your data center, endpoints, wherever that data is, it has to be protected. And part of that protection is ensuring that it's not just protected on some SAN in your environment, but that you're following the 3-2-1 rule and you've got an offsite copy of that data that is also protected and is managed centrally by your organization. So take a look at the slide here. There's a lot to kind of consume, but the key points are: back up your critical data, make sure at least one of those copies is offsite. PhoenixNAP has some great solutions for both offsite backup and always on disaster recovery. And we're doing a lot more work past that. Software as a service is getting big. Office 365 is huge. And you have to make sure that you protect that data yourself. So if you want to get in touch with us, please feel free to contact us at any of the locations here. Again, my name is William Bell, and thank you guys so much for spending time with us during this Gorilla Guide webisode.
Great presentation, William. Thank you so much. Really insightful. It's now time for our live panel discussion, where we're going to take your questions, and we'll be chatting now with William from PhoenixNAP. They're asking, do you offer free trials for Veeam backup and replication services?
That's a great question. We absolutely offer and encourage free trials of all of our Veeam backup and data protection solutions, whether that's disaster recovery or backup as a service, offsite backup. Our customers and prospects are encouraged to make sure it works for their organization before signing up, and we will walk you through that process and make it simple for your organization.
Very nice. That's a great way to try out the product and do a proof of concept. Let's move on to our next question. They're asking, what's the pricing structure for Veeam backups and disaster recovery?
We've worked really hard to ensure that our pricing structures are easy to consume. And so when we're talking about offsite data protection or backup as a service, our Veeam powered backup as a service product is priced just per terabyte. So let us know how much data you need to back up in the cloud. We'll give you a price per terabyte. There's no bandwidth fees. There's no licensing fees. It's just based on how much data you're storing. And when it comes to disaster recovery as a service, we've worked really hard to make that simple too. And we have two line items that we're looking for. How many virtual machines do you have? And how much data is on those virtual machines and how much the size of those VMs essentially. So how many VMs and the total size of those VMs, those are all the data points we need to provide a quick and cost-effective solution for your organization.
Very nice, William. I know we all appreciate a straightforward pricing structure. Thank you. Next question is for you. They're asking, how do I know if I need only backups or a complete disaster recovery solution?
Sometimes it's hard to decide whether your organization just needs an offsite copy of your data or if you need a comprehensive always-on data protection or disaster recovery solution. And ultimately, that comes down to you and your business determining what your recovery time objective looks like. So ultimately, you have the ability to control a few basic metrics when you're talking about offsite data protection. Recovery time objective, or how fast you want your data to be active or your application to be online again, and your recovery point objective, talking about how much data you can potentially lose if a major outage occurs. With Veeam solutions, the recovery point objectives are similar between backup and disaster recovery. That will change in the future, but ultimately you're getting kind of a consistent RPO between the two solutions. But the recovery time objective can change dramatically. If you have a large data set and you park it in an offsite data storage powered by Veeam, it can take a long time to get that data back up and running. If you need to be up in a few hours or even 24 hours, you should definitely look at a disaster recovery as a service solution. And anything under 24 hours, you really have to consider always on data protection or disaster recovery as a solution, because that data is sitting there on production SANs, ready to be booted and made live, and for you to log in and reconfigure your applications and make sure they work. So it's a complicated process and problem. It's something that you need to talk to your business stakeholders about, make sure everybody's on the same page, and just choose the one that's best for your organization.
Very insightful, William. Thank you. And final question, back to you, William, again. They're asking, how fast can I recover my data with Veeam and PhoenixNAP in the case of a disaster?
PhoenixNAP's disaster recovery as a service solutions powered by Veeam offer a very robust recovery time objective. So when you're looking at how quickly can you spin up your virtual machines that you're replicating to our environment, from the time that you initiate the failover or the disaster recovery startup process to the time that those VMs are online, in most scenarios, is minutes. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on the number of VMs that you have. It's really short minutes. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for you to get into those VMs, make sure that your applications are working and functioning, perform some type of network failover from an internet perspective so that your users can reach those applications. But we have a ton of customers that have aggressive sub 2 hour, sub 4 hour recovery time objectives. And during the testing that they do, they're easily able to meet those.
Excellent answer, William. And thank you so much to you at PhoenixNAP. Let's wrap up today's event. Have a great day. Bye bye.